Welcome to the platelets simulation. In this simulation, you will estimate the number of platelets on a stained peripheral smear. You will also evaluate whether a smear contains normal or abnormal platelet structures. Once you launch the simulation, you will encounter a virtual microscope allowing you to view a smear with platelets and other blood cells. Click and drag the center of the microscope to search for platelets within the smear. If you need to zoom in or zoom out to help you better identify a platelet, click one of the buttons at the bottom right of the screen to change the magnification. By default, you will begin with the counting phase of the simulation. The first field of blood cells and platelets you see is the reference field to help you identify a normal platelet's appearance. You want to look for the small blue granular structures among the other blood cells. To get the simulation underway, click the smear button on the bottom left side of the screen. A new smear will be displayed along with a smear ID number in the bottom message box. Be sure to record your smear ID number. Now, count the number of platelets in the current field you are viewing. You can use the plus or minus count buttons to help you keep track of how many platelets you've seen. Make sure to explore all the areas of the field. A platelet can very well be hanging out on the edge of a field, so zoom out to 50 times the magnification to view the overall field so you don't miss any platelets. Once you've identified all the platelets in the field, click the field right arrow to advance to the next field of the smear. Count the number of platelets in the new field and update your current platelet count on the bottom left of the screen. Continue to make your way through the rest of the smear's 10 fields, counting the platelets in each field. You can always go back to a previous field of the smear and recount the number of platelets. If you have trouble identifying a platelet, you can always click on the reference button to view a field with highlighted platelets. Just be sure to click the smear button again to pick up where you left off counting the platelets in your ID'd smear. Once you have identified all the platelets in the smear's fields, click the Check Answer button. Find the average number of platelets in the smear's fields and then multiply your average by 20,000 to estimate the final platelet concentration. Type in your answer and click Enter. If you are incorrect with your answer, you can try and calculate your estimate again, or close the dialog box and double-check the number of platelets you counted before checking your answer again. If you were correct, close the dialog box and move on to the evaluating part of the simulation. To switch over to the evaluating side of the sim, click the Evaluating button in the top right corner of the screen. This time you will be identifying whether or not a smear contains abnormal platelets. Again, you will start off viewing a reference smear with abnormal and normal platelets clearly identified. Begin the evaluation mode by clicking the Smear button. Notice you get a new smear to examine. Use the microscope to see if there are any abnormal platelets in your smear. If there are, click the Abnormal button on the bottom left of the screen. If not, click the Normal button. Then click the Identification button after you made your decision. A pop-up dialog box will immediately tell you if you are correct or incorrect with your identification. By clicking the Next button on the dialog box, a new smear will appear for you to analyze. Continue to identify whether the smears have abnormal platelets until you've examined 10 smears. After the 10th smear, a pop-up dialog box will summarize how many smears with certain platelets you correctly identified.